So the moment of reckoning of practice, the final practice, 24 of 24, rate 7 to the right, 3.28 miles in. The team's just 1 or 2 headaches will talk weekend. The tyres exactly the same. Started off with a front tyre pressure of 23 to bolster those front tyres and burn that tonight. I mean, we didn't talk tyres at all yesterday. So
there's a reaction to that 1 PSI change.
What happens from here on in?
Yeah, it is. You know, the team will be so important to this championship, as we know. It doesn't matter, but actually it makes quite a lot have to react and adapt to that overnight. See the effect that has on the tyre, although we are...
And Pirelli saying yesterday graining could be a factor. Good pushes from what should be a one-stop race. We're struggling with graining in exactly the same circuit.
The track, and the reason that happens when we get a race graining on a Friday, and as we go through the weekend, and that's what we should hopefully see. The track will become lap on lap on lap.
It's got hotter from FP2, so in the race we're 39 degrees at the moment, warmer in the air today.
Yeah, it does feel warm. Like if Belfast was yesterday, that's for sure. It is something that happens between the P1 and P2 longer, if you think of it like that. But it is...
Rosberg is literally sprinting from the opposites, the podium, which now stretches out. For what is the 13th race here in Abbott's, 3 drivers in contention for the championship. Is on Sky Sports F1, just to see Bernie. The cars are stampeding. Title to be decided. Get out there, do some driving.
To wait at the beginning of the session, they probably cooler track condition. Maybe the best track.
Except when I start shouting about Formula One. Hello, Crofty. Speed to get going. There's Yuki's last FP3, his last qualifying Formula One race for the time being. He and Aston Martin take to the track. So, boys, Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso. That was what Max Verstappen was after. Difficult thing to put your finger on, isn't it? Went to it. But apart from that, just even at the end of the day, after such as his mind management, doesn't want to get timed.
And talking of speed, Nico not even breaking sweat. I mean, that's what?
Well, it's pretty awesome to be here, because this is going to be, well, yeah, let's do this.
Not as you have been this morning. That was a tense week.
Take it a little bit. But no, I mean, it's exactly the same, 12 points ahead. And plus he has his teammate as well, who's ready to pounce. Because you're like so scared to mess it up. There's 20 years in my case. 20 years. One small mistake and the dream is gone.
As we focus on FP3, was on piece. How did you go about FP3?
not being able to eat properly. Everything else wouldn't go down. So pasta, that was the only thing that my brain said, I think I could, that's the only thing that went down. And so of course, you don't, it's so bad. And then get in the car, FP3. So your head is just keeps on, you're not going to be able to do this. And the thing is that Lando is, he's not the Max Verstappen type, which is actors, and I think Lando is definitely a little bit more like...
Most of us, the vast majority of us, working for 20 years towards or projects we're working on or whatever, but you can't be a pit stop. It might be all of these things, because I can't imagine that.
Like this weekend, right?
I am so comfortable.
Yeah, you see, whatever happens on Sunday will come handily, backs you completely into the pack, as vulnerable could be.
It was the perfect. The others could stay in the race, and perhaps, and then by slowing me down halfway through the race, near Tony comes onto the radio and says, "Nico, championship. Like, you're gonna have to pass in your life."
Oh man!
He was a much more high-risk driver. Yeah. It was he left the space, and my foot after that controlled the throttle anymore. I'd never experienced that in my life.
Just a bit.
So I'm like, okay, I'm done. Can't control the line after that.
Yeah.
And I could just plow my whole leg down. So I could plow my whole leg down. And that gave going.
Just looking at what we're talking about, we've talked a lot about the specs going into the race, that would be Lewis.
At all, you know, I was expecting everything and more. So
of course.
See, but that's Bernie's job, to try and plan for everything. Get that sort of a race, and if you're Max in front, which makes qualifying so...
knows how important this qualifying is. Able to drive properly a racing car from the get-go. Very, very impressive so far, because that's what we have just at the highest ever.
Well, let's talk to his side. Give us an inside view as to...
I'm impressed as well. The World Championship battle here, and I think everyone's very excited for qualifying.
This is super massively. They'll leave it at those 2 different points of view. There in that word. Okay, so a lot of us as media, you really want to help them have their 100 internally.
Yeah, we got to keep them away from you. Trying to pretend like there's not a lot at stake, right? But they're not trying to overwork them with sponsored approach to the weekend. I'm kind of the fun guy.
So speaking of the fun guy, obviously for a lot of the engineers, which we've both worked at a Drivers' Championship on the line, how do you make decisions through the weekend?
Yeah, emotional and excitable, but trying to keep that calmness. But the team's remarkably ship. You know, everyone was remarkably calm. So what we recognize is bringing in
The teams at just finally from me, or visually, is it from the constructors?
Yeah, it's on. But for us, we want both. We World Championship, which is what we have. So a good position.
Best of luck this weekend on the Red Bull pit wall. Best of luck. Just a little bit busy at the moment. So completed lap. Charles Leclerc has just come out onto the track. Fastest FP3 time. Last better final practice to give him a bit of a mess for the evening session.
Yeah, they in hindsight,
I guess when he's 104 points ahead after Zam.
still right in there. I mean, if Oscar was attentive enough to those details, which is pro and it helps sometimes. It's going to be easy for him to come back from yesterday, even though I still think rises. You just cannot.
I get the point, but I know we make in pre-season, and I think the P1. And if you look at it from, so he's given up a race at the end to lose Abu Dhabi as a P1 session, and there's 23 other races that the point should have been.
It's very strong.
Lando crosses the line. 120 in the win in both of those weekends when they finish the season on a high. They'll be fourth in the Constructors' East for a team that will come. Charles Leclerc is on course for a fourth winless season. Lando Norris currently. Esteban Ocon and Lewis lap down into the hair lock-up in the process. So we've got some more cars out, and he's 111 down on Lando Norris. Oscar of this session. Let's see where our 10th down.
He was Lando either. Massive oversteer.
Start with 36.7 and a 30-point on Oscar Piastri already after completing just one push lap. Top 10 starts at least. Q3 on the grid here last year he did. Norris crosses the bit of a punishment by then.
Yeah, but he's still improved from the get-go here today. But massive oversteer. Look at the counter steer. You lose a lot of time. You have to lift off the throttle.
What's inducing that oversteer?
So it's the hottest it's been this weekend. Where did you say? It's just rear grip. That's the main one. You lose rear. The setup required to go fast at the motor drops. I remember in my time it was usually so you could give the front more grip, and that's always a little bit of an unknown.
Ted, some parish notices. You hinted at curfew as well last night.
Well, 4 teams broke the Aston Martin, Alpine, Racing Bulls to having the mechanics here when they were supposed to be. Broke the curfew, but nothing happens to them because it's one of their 5.
Oh, sorry, Ted.
Sorry.
I'm just, what's the word I'm looking for? Dawdling. And obviously didn't realise Lando was there, but we keep it.
That was very, very dangerous because it's a blind, which in itself is a bit of a very strange thing to do.
Wow, that was great reaction. Say a car braking incident, putting it mildly.
On pieces, you might have to change something like so difficult. You just don't want that going into quality. Probably a substandard part. You're getting to the box, so yeah, very lucky to keep her. But that means you should just be on it. You should
be using your mirrors, or at least keeping to the side. Right.
Well, just quickly, because looks like Verstappen's going to gain 25 grand, but for him. And Aston Martin have proc it, listening to this, then get down there, and fan engagement to make up for their drivers missing.
I don't get is why they've had to pay in practice from pit stops, which proportionate, and the side of we should be.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Crofty, if I instead of there's a lot of fans here that really want to see the drive. How big the queue was or how long I waited. That's the reason, the drivers. Then we want to highly discourage I'm not feeling great, or I can't be bothered to wait and queue for the drivers. So I think the fine up,
exactly.
Maybe the other way around, relative to what caused unsafe release.
This week was the dinner, the driver dinner. They are, if you look to your right, you can. Gasly picked up the tab for it.
Dinners as well.
Yeah, I thought they were all there.
Regularly, but it's a really nice thing to do, isn't it? Fans, that F1 is a family and.
Each other, posing for the photo there. Separated from Lando Norris by George Russell. Put it on expenses.
He's probably. We spend so much of the.
Probably didn't get told.
Like to me as well, and directly.
You can still count. That's good to know.
Just say that there's a remote chance that Fernando can be who's done nothing else the last 12. Who knows? No, it could be
officially.
How about unofficially?
10 months.
10 months. But when Honda disbanded, that caused maybe a few delays. I may well be, because you know what? He's driving.
Next year, if we have a total reset, Daryl, I had to crack this up there. I think, and he does get everything out of the car.
But into the barriers, and Hamilton drive.
Crofty, he's trying to put in reverse, first of all, because that was a pretty big one. But forwards, it should be fine.
As impassively at the monitor, thinking, making his way towards turn 9. Just got away from him there. You're shaking your head.
Point in time. It starts on the entry or the follow-on effect. Let's look from the onboard. Let's look at this, which can be aero.
You okay?
You literally think something broke.
As he was going over the white line or the curve or something there, front end on, but slightly to the front right, so back into the garage in this session, which is not a guarantee. Then there's a lot of work on that front right corner that I...
Marina circuit with 5 wins and the cockpit, and that is 91 Grand Prix in the ground effect era. It's quite like to see the back of these cars, quite frankly.
That looked very, very smart.
It's very thorough.
Yes, Lewis, because it's not so easy to identify that. Investigation was, and for Lewis, yeah, no, I mean, next year's car can bring him.
And absolutely scampers out. Hearing from Marc Genet, who's back, need to talk to Lewis, need to have a look at the, or whether it is just the bottoming out as Anthony. All he wanted from this weekend was just had results, have a positive weekend, make it into Q. Bottom out again might hurt their competitor.
Over on the curb, that might be better for Ferrari. But they've got a post-session briefing. You remember the Lando Norris Yuki, so that's going to be investigated by the stewards.
No, you chucked a whole bottle of 1 page and it's rammed. You need a microscope. So we had a very, you can be incident.
Waterway to finish the year. Not how I was celebrating. I was going to go and see Metallica. I'll hold them up to the camera. Our sound supervisor might just have to go and dry those. Been noted for an unsafe release.
And well away from the desk and from you, just that's all.
But it could be a very busy 16 minutes. That's Alex Albon in
the angle. Hard to tell. Tend to be got away with anyway because the cars are coming leave the garage until we have a restart time. And it's held to stop them leaving, trying to get out, as you say. There's only 15 minutes left on the clock now. Temperature, although the track temperature's only dropped to 30, as it can possibly be for qualifying. And that
about 6/100ths of a second between Verstappen and won't be taking part after that crash. Charles Leclerc set his lap time an awful lot early in P15, which 14 minutes to do something about that.
And he now has exactly as you say 14 minutes more. It's now that you have to learn.
So here's Ollie Behrman on during the first sector. I would imagine flag and with a bit more fuel on top because they
programs, which is a little bit of a disguise, and it gives you that. This is the moment where you could be a Max Verstappen and drop everything at it.
You mean a Max Verstappen who's just on a 7th?
That would definitely help improve the flop stack first.
Start his flying lap here. Be a bit more pace he needs to find as well. Is having engine setting is second. Yuki Tsunoda pulls in there his time. And Piastri now he just nailed a really good first.
Yeah, so super awesome start. Very conservative. You saw how he stayed away from it there. But of course the reference is not the highest reference yet. Carrying the speed. Bit of oversteer coming now. The corner again, no traffic.
Destroys Max Verstappen's time there. Moves.
Russell had only gone P13. You think that's... So Russell's actually on a used soft. We're going to come into the pit lane and get that 5P3.
And Lando Norris on a new...
That's direct compare, that's good.
Which is a very important...
and that really unsettled his car, which is why he's... I would have thought he would be more down. It's too hot, it just keeps going and going. Has been his strongest out of everybody so far.
If that makes sense.
Here they just go massively fast in, trying differently, beginning of lap to end of lap.
He picked up on his teammate in that final sector.
Talk through Piastri's lap, he had a lot more traffic through that. That's so important in those corners to not...
Belly has hit Yuki Tsunoda in the pit lane. These guys pushing it really hardly, right in front of the Aston Martin. About to get some replays.
Earlier in the season, Red Bull and Mercedes, we'll see that have been scattered around our session. Meanwhile, it's tough to handle at the moment. These soft too hard in the first 2/3. Ted, down to you again.
It was a pit stop and was released into the park. Tsunoda's car as well, so I'm surprised. And his floor. So damaged car to
Drew. But I wonder if it'll be a €25,000. Let's have a little look at that. Well, they're not as much as if you miss a fan event. You should without thinking too much.
And I think there should be a difference between us as well.
Not bad.
That's good. This is a practice session.
Yeah.
Ted outlined there. That's not a reasonable penalty, I think. We've not seen it, but it's due to how the traffic is looking in the pit lane. But yeah,
by just about a degree and a half. 3/10 just under. Ollie Behrman at garage, and that was Yuki Tsunoda making his way down.
Yeah, that's rough.
Have you got damage?
Have at least thrown a glance across. He doesn't. Oh, he does.
Man, you say me...
I picked it up incorrectly from Ted maybe, but they weren't expecting Yuki to be driving out of his garage. His front end or his number one mechanic quicker, but in those sessions...
I agree. Max Verstappen about to go for him, the new tyres now, has gone quickest. Give us a...
But George, wow, where did that pace come from? That's exactly what we want, isn't it? I mean,
you best get your trainers on. 1/2 separating the top four. I want Antonelli. The Yuki session is over now with all that damage there, so that they might have seen that. See what Kimi Antonelli's view was as he see
soft tyre. So yes,
the problem for the car still jumps.
I have Red Bull out and out speed isn't the fast. Do that to think, you know, that they're pushing it to that knife edge where dialing back. Piastri's improved in the middle sector. Norris has improved. Piastri to cross the line, stay a 10th off the pace, and Lando Norris can
on his soft tyre, on any soft tyre actually, because he changed the front wing. That seemed to be the only damage to his.
It was a touch wide at the exit, even though that wide.
Pick up on the Verstappen comment. I wondered, you know, given what Nick, you know, these throttles are so sensitive, and they try and balance it, so it always returns. Any sort of movement on that throttle will be picked.
Thousandths of a second between George Russell and Lewis Hamilton was fourth fastest. Movement in the track and the times as well, wide towards the end of the lap.
I don't know if he's just prepping for a lap or something.
He was either prepping or he was waiting so that he crossed the line now. We'll see it. Heinz, who is a man who ran last season, a podium in 20, and with the champion that year. We'll get some practice starts on the grid.
Under the track, and you emerge sort of pit lane. The garages here are actually on the out. We don't do starts in the pit lane, and why the different track temperatures here, different tyres practice, and how the cars are positioned in the throttle. That he's going to be the last person to cross the
pace. You can hear the planks scraping. Max Verstappen third fastest. You got to feel for his tyres. After Kimi Antonelli, I think in the stewards room, they've got quite a bit to look.
Course, and I think that one is, we didn't actually, it's quite significant in terms of missing a lap. They all need to learn from, but that you had having a normal pit lane of the concrete before to where they are.
So that is practice done counts, and on the pit wall for us this week. Gentlemen, thank you so much for everything you've done each other before we...
and it's great for the tires. We'll take the full...